Hey there, this is Rare with Photos. Welcome back to the channel. This is the video that I always feature those of you that leave comments. I don't always get a chance to read them all. Well, I read them all because I'm the one that actually puts them on this video, but I don't always get a chance to read them all in this video. Sometimes I put music in there, but this is for you and for your fellow Elvis fan and subscriber to see what your thoughts are on some of these subject matters of the videos that I post. So hopefully you make it. Either on this video or some other video. Gonna try to get better, perhaps maybe doing one of these comment videos at the end of every day. So in the evening time when you're just chilling out, relaxing, and you're just kind of curious, perhaps, whether your comment made the video or whether one of your fellow subscribers had a thought process on something that, maybe differs from yours. That's my truck going off. Then you'll have an opportunity, to respond back. Now, I'm not saying differing isn't arguing with you. I think that there's room for degrees of an opinion. Sometimes you have a super strong opinion on something, and sometimes you're meh. Sometimes it's a 50-50. Sometimes it's, you can be swayed. So anyhow, life itself is not as interesting when you don't have something to stand behind. And we all love Elvis Presley. Yes. I know that he, I've seen some comments on here which some people would be upset about. But in some ways they're right. Elvis Presley had a different rule set, in a sense, than most people would be allowed to have. But he also was very unique when it came to uniqueness of who he was as an artist. And hey, before this comment goes away, Janice, I appreciate you checking for me and appreciating the music and all that stuff as well. I appreciate you being on the channel. I just know that eventually I might start talking a little bit too much, and that comment will go away. And I want to make sure it got answered. But yeah, he went by a different rule set. Is it because of his talent, because of his looks, because of the emotional vulnerability that he showed to his fans and to all of us through his music, through his films? I would be remiss if in some ways, I didn't say, hey, in my time when I was singing and doing shows, in some ways, a lot of people applied a different rule to me as well. And there is the idea of sexism, that if a girl did something like Elvis did, and had a lot of different people that he liked and dated, they would label that woman a certain thing, which I don't always think is fair either. Hey, Narcissistic Times, what's going on? This is a great comment, by the way. I did read it. I read it all, and I agree with everything you said. There's some little so there's some points in here that I completely agree with, and then there's a couple that that I didn't really think of until you brought it up. So I appreciate it. This is a well-written comment. So back to the whole thing with double standards and Elvis, and then even to a certain degree for me. I was a singer in California, and and I was very, very popular in a smaller area, in a sense. Southern California is pretty dang big if you think about it. You're talking, 5 million people, something like that. I may be way off. It could be 10, it could be 4, but regardless, I kind of was a bit of a big deal when I was younger, and there was a lot of girls that were fine with, in a sense, sharing me with other girls, which means that I wasn't locked down to dating one person. Looking back on it now, as a grown adult, in a sense, I wouldn't have grown adult at 18, 19, or 20. Guys mature a lot later in life. But looking back on it now, I could see that it caused pain. That sort of behavior causes pain to people that have a sincere interest in being the only one. And so I understand when there are people that say it's unfair that Elvis gets treated to a different standard, and mainly it's Priscilla Presley fans that bring it up on the channel. And that's part of the reason why I kind of did, in a sense, feel kind of bad for Priscilla back in the day. But I've seen her behavior, and her behavior seems to be always about her all the time, no matter what. So for a person like that, I stopped feeling as bad for her. Now, once again, was this all because of her parents, her mom and her dad? And perhaps. But back on here on this Narcissistic Times post, that she was trying to find a balance between the guidelines and not being a strict, controlling, and emotionally cold mother like her own was. I think that you're right. I think that a lot of the way she tried to raise Riley and Ben had to do with the flexibility and freedom she had at Graceland. I think that's a great point that you make. And then we're talking about Scientology too in here. And it triggered a little thought that, I think the majority of the channel don't believe that Scientology is a good thing. I mean, I understand that there's some power behind the thinking of, hey, you can control your own destiny. Because then you don't have to have faith that there's a higher power, that there's God, that there's Jesus, that there's, whatever else you believe, Buddha, that you don't, or Muhammad or whatever, that you don't have to trust in something else, that you can control things. But what a dangerous thing it is. Because first off, look at Ben, grandson of Elvis. Very good looking guy, musician, but I'm sure he paled in comparison to his grandfather in every comparison that they could compare him to. And, all of a sudden you have Scientology that's basically saying don't feel sorry for yourself, that you can control these things. You can't control being the grandson of the most popular, famous figure of all time, to be a reflection of Lisa's father and getting that extra special love and attention. No matter, sometimes it takes you decades, 20, 30, 40 years to work through that stuff. And of course he didn't make it that long. He, took his own life. Whether that was because of the pressures, whether that was because of, it could have been substance abuse too. It could have been a lot of things. But anyhow, this is a great, I know I'm talking about something a little bit different, but at the same time along the same lines here is this comment from Narcissistic Times. But these are great comments. These are great thought-provoking comments that you write, and just because I don't always respond to them, and my response about Elvis being held to a different standard has to do with a comment that comes later on in this video. So anyways, let's go ahead and play some songs here and continue reading some of these comments. Please continue leaving me your thoughts. They might trigger something that I haven't thought about. They also might help a fellow Elvis fan, and they don't always have to be I don't want to say confrontational. They don't always have to differ with the subject. If you agree, you agree. There's no problem with that. And trust me, I feel defensive of Elvis, and I know there's a big brouhaha going around right now between different Elvis channels, and it is what it is. I don't really know what to say about that. I mean, you guys know I got in the middle of some of the controversy without even asking to. It's not hard. I remember Billy Stanley saying, "Hey Joe, you're getting pretty popular out there in the world of Elvis," and they said there's gonna be jealousy, there's gonna be things that happen soon. And my goodness, like literally within 2 to 3 days, I got in that little bit of a controversy. But it's not controversy anymore. One of Billy Smith's and Joe Smith's very good friends had reached out to me and said, "Hey, I watched your videos. There's nothing that you're saying, nothing that you're doing that Billy or Joe should be upset over. I'm going to let them know." And it went away. And that's fine. I mean, but you should be able to disagree with fellow Elvis channels. What happened and what went on, and here I am talking even more than I normally do. But I'm driving to go play some golf. And so I have a little time here. I do want to share some of the music like I have done, but let me finish this point here while these great comments are going on. What's going on, Lorraine? Made it to the end. Appreciate that. And I'm glad. I love tea. I love hot tea, milk and sugar. Okay, back to the thought. Okay, so what? If in case you haven't heard about it, Defending Elvis Louis over in the UK, I think had asked Shauna and Kyle to take down the video that had to do with Dee Presley claiming that Elvis had slept with his mother, claiming that Vernon had told her, that a few other people had told her. All these people were deceased when she put these claims out. Now, y'all know I brought Billy Stanley on here, which I think is a true friend, brother to Elvis, and that holds Elvis and his memory in high esteem, high regard, regardless of what maybe his brothers might have said or his mother said. And we know that Dee had apologized to him basically on her deathbed. Now, whether that apology was for hurting him from making up these claims, I don't know. It wasn't as specific, but Billy just said, "Hey, don't apologize to me. It's God and it's Elvis you need to apologize to." So Billy answered that question. So the channels that I guess I don't know whether it was Kyle, whether it was Shauna, shared the video. I don't have a problem sharing with sharing videos as long as it's for information and not so much for just to be shocking or to be vile about it. I don't think that Kyle and Shauna would do that. I honestly don't know them very well. I know Shauna had reached out about maybe doing a video with me at some point. Kyle, I know, doesn't like me or didn't like me because he didn't like me singing Elvis songs. That being said, that was a while ago. That's 2, 3, 4 years ago. I don't know him. I just think that the controversy, it's not necessary. But at the same time, hey, I think that Lewis has been pretty consistent with the whole idea of defending Elvis. He's taken a stance kind of against Are You Lonesome Tonight? But at the same time, it doesn't mean that he and I can't talk every once in a while. Same thing with Shauna. I know Shauna's talking to Bridget Cruz, and I'll be honest though, I haven't watched a Shauna video in forever because I'm too busy. But I know that Bridget, she reached out to me and she reaches out to me. That being said, I've got nothing against Shauna, nothing against Kyle, nothing against Louis, nothing against Billy Smith. This is supposed to be about Elvis. It's not supposed to be about ourselves. And yeah, there's channels that are out there that psychic person that calls me a narcissist or whatever like that. And she didn't get all over me until all of a sudden Louis was giving me shout outs on his channel, and I just basically had said, hey, support your fellow Elvis channel, support people that love Elvis. Baby doll pajamas. I haven't thought about these in years. Birthdays and Christmas gifts. Clothes like you'd put on a baby doll. Big puffy shirt came out with no sleeves or spaghetti tops or bottoms were like underwear and elastic around the leg. Really cute. They were not see-through. Pillow between my legs. LOL. Been sleeping, or should I say can't sleep without a pillow between my legs. Started with a huge teddy bear when I was about 2 years old and graduated to a pillow. Made it to the end. Helps my back, and now my hips. Awesome. Good times, good memories. Thanks for reading, Joe. Take care. That's a great comment. Yeah, and I apologize that as of this video, as in what you're looking at, there's no hearts and likes. I went back and I hearted and liked everything, so y'all know that I did read your comment. Well, let's play an Elvis song. You guys are great, and I sure have talked a lot, haven't I? And it's time to play some music. Ruby, what's going on real quick? Missed you, but understanding how busy you are. Great read. So sad concerning Lisa sitting on the floor listening to her daddy sing. Lisa, I think that she lost a lot of what she could have been, not just because of her daddy passing away in the way he did at home, in her presence, but also because of the way Priscilla treated her. So yeah, very sad. All right, without further ado, let's play some music here. And thanks so much for tuning in, Susie Q and everybody else that's been on this channel. Yeah, keep doing it.
There's one king above all, a light that never fades, a name that we call in every prayer we say. Through every storm we face, he stands tall and true, lifts us up with his grace, it shows what love can do. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every eye closed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light, it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. In the darkest of the nights, when hope seems all but lost, his light, it shines so bright because he took up the cross. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage. He gave his life for us so that we all may live. Only one king, that's Jesus. Only one king that guides and frees us. Every head bowed and every hand raised. There's only one king, that's Jesus. Set Elvis up on stage.
I agree, C-Cat, that it's nice they had time together alone without fans and the Memphis Mafia, just a normal couple. Mary, never forget, Priscilla is still in Scientology. That's a point I think I brought up in a different video, or maybe even this video, that Ben was raised in it, and it really affected him. Really did affect him.
Back when Elvis was still on the radio, the pace of traffic in your town still nice and slow. Before JFK and MLK were shot, we appreciated everything that we ever got. Before cell phones were put into our hands, we would all sit down for dinner and hold each other's hands. Life was so much simpler when we were kids. No kneeling for the anthem or throwing all those fits. We loved the good old USA. Every morning we would salute the flag and say, I pledge allegiance, with hands over our hearts. If we could turn back time, that would be a damn good place to start, where moms and dads still lived in the same home, and Elvis was still playing on the radio. Back when we had enough on our plates, and a restaurant was where your boyfriend took you on a date. before Bobby Kennedy and Elvis died. When you didn't lose a friend voting for the other side. We love the good old USA. Every morning we would salute the flag and say, I pledge allegiance, with hands over our hearts. If we could turn back time, that would be a damn good place to start. Where moms and dads still lived in the same home, and Elvis was still playing on the radio. Before you questioned everything you know, and Elvis was still playing on the radio. Before you questioned everything you know, and Elvis was still playing on the radio.
He was born in a shack in Tupelo, a healthy boy, but he lost his baby bro. He grew up poor, the dirt poor life. The only thing he had was a guitar and a bike. That was Elvis, born in 35, that was Elvis. The coolest kind of life, from don't be cruel to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis. In the summer of '77, Priscilla broke his heart and sent him back to heaven. He sang his songs for all to hear. American Trilogy still brings a tear. That was Elvis, born in 35, that was Elvis. The coolest kind of life, from don't be cruel to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis. He left us a gift in Lisa Marie, but now she's singing with Elvis in heaven's jubilee. That was Elvis, born in 35, that was Elvis. The coolest kind of life, from don't be cruel to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis, from that's alright to all shook up, suspicious minds to burn in love. That was Elvis, Elvis, Elvis. That was Elvis, Elvis. That was Elvis, Elvis, Elvis.
So that wasn't my very first song. That was kind of a tribute song to Elvis, but it was the first song that was produced. You know, I did have a song that was kind of like I don't want to say positive about Priscilla, but it was called Elvis. Let's Be Like Elvis and Priscilla back in 1963. Back when it was kind of good, you know what I'm saying? When there was excitement. That was the concept behind the song. You know, Elvis and Priscilla in 1963. You know, I'll be your hip swinging. I forgot the exact lyrics, but then, you know, I wrote That Was Elvis, and from that came a bunch of other songs. Hey, Cynthia, appreciate you. Good to hear your comments, and I'm glad that you made it to the end. I love the MITTE, and I forgot who was the very first person on this channel that came up with that. But very cool, very cool. I'm glad you made. It's because I was like, hope you make it to the end or something like that, and then somebody was like MITTE. And I will continue to read these stories, the June and Elvis book, and the Jeannie and Linda Thompson. I'm gonna get the Linda Thompson book. If you made it this far, you are an Elvis super fan, and I appreciate it. Or maybe you're just driving, or maybe you've got some background noise cleaning your house. Anyhow, I appreciate you. I appreciate each and every one of you. And time for another song.
She held him close to her heart from the very start. Through every joy and fear, she kept him near and dear, with a love that's pure and true. In everything she'd do, a mother's guiding light shone through the Elvis night. Oh, Gladys loved her son till her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Holding her hand, he found peace, and all her worries would not cease. There shares a bond that never fades. It loves me tender shades. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love than a mother's love. Holding her hand, he found peace, and all her worries would not cease. They shares a bond that never fades. It loves me tender shades. Oh, Gladys loved her son until her big old heart gave out. And there's no greater love.
Thanks for taking a journey with me. This is Rare Elvis Photos. Till next time.